When I was 35 years old, I took a solo trip to Vermont. I stayed at a mountaintop inn and I rode horses every day. And I went for a hike up near Stowe to a place called Sterling Pond. And it was this beautiful body of water on top of a mountain. And on the afternoon that I was there, it was just me. And I found a rock that was still warm from the sun, and I sat myself down. Because truth be told, I had come on this trip to answer a very important question for myself. And the question was, did I want to be a mother? As I sat there that afternoon, I heard the answer that reverberated around the leaves of those trees and across the water and into my heart, and the answer was no. 11 years later, I became a grandmother. Now, how did that happen? That's been the biggest surprise of my life, right? I thought I had forfeited the chance to be a grandmother when I had made that decision not to be a mother. But lo and behold, in that period of time, I had met a man and gotten married, which was another big surprise. And along with that marriage came 2 grown children. And that's how I found myself on a cold winter's morning in 2012, looking through the glass at twins, at a beautiful little girl with long, slender fingers that waved at me through the glass, and a beautiful boy with chubby cheeks. About a year and a half later, I was on the living room floor playing with my grandson, and it was time to get him ready for bed. And I took off his clothes, and I started putting lotion all over him. And just as I was finishing, I looked down at him, and he smiled up at me, and he made the sign for more. And just as he did that, the only thing I could see in my mind's eye was my father's face from 2 years before. 2 years before, my father was slowly dying, and I was in the hospital room with him, taking care of him one afternoon. And I was washing him and putting lotion on him. And as I was shaving him, and it so surprised me because his beard was so bristly and robust, which was so different than the rest of him. But as I was finishing, lotioning his face, I felt the slight pressure of his cheek against my palm. And it was his way of asking for more. A little while later, my mom came into the room and sat down. She patted my father on the leg. And then she got down to business. She opened up her big purse and took out a box. And in that box was a new cell phone that she had bought for herself the day before. And while I finished helping my father, she took out the instructions and she started reading them out loud 3 times. And then I had her practice, opening the cell phone, calling me. Then I would call her, then she would answer it. And then she put in her contact information into the phone. But at every point in that next hour of her doing that, she kept asking me if she was doing everything right, because she was not ready for that kind of change. Finally, she finished. She put everything away, but she kept the box just in case she needed to return it. And as the twilight darkened the windows, we sat there together with my father, and I put my hand on his, and I reached over for hers, and she squeezed mine back with such a strong grip. And I knew in that moment that as he was letting go, she was holding on. And it was simply my job as their daughter to help them with those transitions, especially to help her prepare for a life in which she'd never be able to call her husband with her new cell phone. As I looked back down at my grandson, I gave him back the sign. And I put some more lotion on him. And I put on his PJs, his red ones that he loved. Well, I think I love those red PJs more than he did. And I picked him up and I held him, and I felt the same contentment that I know that he was feeling. And I thought about that day at that pond and how our truth changes as we change. And as I took him back to put him to bed, I whispered, more.